Hello everybody, welcome to the whiteboard preview. We're going to get over there in just a second, but as I mentioned in yesterday's video, we have a special promotion for you. As you all know, I like to try and get the subscribers involved in what we do at Newcastle with the project that we have. And we've teamed up with Fan League. What is Fan League? Well, Fan League is a social football prediction app. Free to download. What it is you've got 13 games each week to go through. You have the Premier League and you've got the Championship. 1 is a home win, 2 is an away win, X is a draw. If you score 10 out of 13, you win. If you score a whopping 13 out of 13, you win massive. And it's only 20 pence to play. If your friend gets 13 out of 13, you'll win some of their prize pot. That's pretty decent, isn't it? And you can also keep growing your tree as well. The more friends that you recruit, the more likely that you're going to win, even though you haven't won yourself. At the end of the season, the top 1,000 people, not top 10, 1,000, the top 1,000 people with the highest average score who have played at least 35% of the season win. You must be over 18 to play. Now, if you're unsure about a result, say, for example, Newcastle are playing Swansea this weekend. Newcastle's a long way trip down. We've got a couple of injury concerns. And you think, Newcastle are going to win this pretty easy, but there's a little bit of doubt in your mind. What you can also do is hedge your bet. Now, what that means is if you're unsure that Newcastle will go out and win, you can cover it as a draw as well, increasing your chances to win. 10% of the revenue that Fan League make will be going over to grassroots football, and even you can highlight the youth club that you want that donation to go to. Have a look at my predictions. So I'm going to go for Chelsea to beat Leicester as one of the big games this weekend. However, Man United's run needs to stop at some point. I know they've been fantastic. They're winning games and blitzing teams, but they're going to a difficult Stoke side with Mark Hughes in charge. So although I do think Man United will win, there's a little bit of doubt in me, so I've covered them with a draw also. If you want to go up against the pundits, we've also got Sven-Göran Eriksson on board on this. Sven, the former England manager, he'll be doing his predictions each week as well. You can copy his results and change them, alter them if you wish to as well. So get involved, it's free to download. I'll be back next week with an update of how yous have got on and how I've got on. Now let's get over to the whiteboard. Right then, let's get on with the whiteboard then. So I'm going to begin with the home side, Swansea. This is how I think they'll line up. This is what Clement plays for. He plays 3 at the back. So it'll be Van der Hoorn, Fernandes and Mawson. And then you've got Olsen as the left wing back and Norton as the right wing back. For Klukas. Now this was Carroll's position last time out, but will he go for Renato Sanchez? Will he bring him off the bench? I'm a little bit 50-50 on it, but I'm going to chuck Sanchez in. I don't think Wilfred Broney will start. I think he will go with Jordan Ayew and Tammy Abraham, who scored against Palace 2 weeks ago. So as you can see, it's not many teams who play this kind of formation with the wing-back system. So this guy in particular, although he doesn't possess the greatest quality in the world, what he does have is pace and legs. So obviously our right-back, if it is DeAndre Yedlin, well, I think Yedlin, if he plays, will look after him pretty easy, because Yedlin can get up and down that wing as well. So I don't think that's too much of a worry. Norton, I don't really know. Kyle Norton's okay, but I think we can get at him. I think Christian Atsu can get at Norton. The three, I think Rafa will play the one up top. So if you're going to play the one up top here, you're going to have what? You're going to have one on him, and then you're going to have one of these covering behind as well. That's how it normally works if you're playing big striker up top. One covers, one marks, and that leaves the 3-man. So I think your second choice striker is going to need to get in this game a lot more to help. Probably Hostler, you would think, would start rather than Gale. But, if you're talking about your second striker, which would probably think it's going to be Perez, he's going to have to get up. He's going to have to run on as well. That's where you might see a tweak in the formation. I know there's talk that Rafa Benitez might not be the game, which is a little bit a hindrance on the mentality of Newcastle. But I think you're going to have Richie and so on coming in. We'll talk about Newcastle in a moment. But as you can see, this midfield here possesses, even if it's Carroll in there instead of Sanchez, this 3 possess. They'll keep the ball, they'll keep it short, and what they'll do is they'll get it out wide. That's the aim of Swansea. They play with width. You've seen it on the opposition preview if you've watched that video where Alicia covered Newcastle, I covered Swansea. They'll play with width, so they'll get the ball out wide, and then you've got a bit of pace, so they can mix it up a little bit, whether they're coming with crosses, which you would expect. But on the other hand, Abraham could twist and turn. He's good around the box as well, so to see him spin off, move forward. Ayew can do a bit of everything. Now Ayew, I don't think he'll actually play as an up top striker. I think he'll hover around. So I think Ayew will spin off and move around, So Couple of things to watch out for. Obviously, the corners as well. These three guys will come up as well. So Newcastle have set pieces. I think Swansea are fairly strong going forward. Mawson scores a couple of 2 or 3 every season as well. So just got to keep an eye out that Newcastle are switched on for set pieces as well. Enough about Swansea. Let's get over to Newcastle. Right then, so Newcastle's lineup, it all depends on Lejeune if he's fit, and Yedlin as well. So this is the key one. If Lejeune doesn't make it, I think, and Yedlin does, Yedlin will play at right back, Manquillo will go to left back, Clark and Lascelles will go in the middle. I think that's only if Lejeune doesn't make it. Right then, so here's the other option that you've got. So if Lejeune does make it, you can partner Lascelles as centre-back and move Kieran Clark to left-back. Now, question for you is at home in the comments box down there below. Would you prefer Kieran Clark at left-back, or would you just prefer Manquillo at left-back? Let us know. Right then, so the rest of the team, I think this is what it will be. Hayden and Mourinho will continue their partnership because they were outstanding against West Ham. To bring Jonjo Shelvey in out from the cold, I think he doesn't deserve it. He was stupid standing. I guess that wasn't violent, but he stood on Dele Alli and he deserves it, being on the bench for me. And yes, he's against Swansea, the Boo Boys. Bring him off the bench later on, because you've got, you could have Dwight Gale off the bench, you could have Shelvey off the bench, Rolando Aarons, Jacob Murphy. So it gives you a little bit more options from the bench. I think those two will continue. When I was with Will and Alicia at the Strawberry Pub, I was like, I think you might go Diarmi. So if Diarmi does play in the number 10, me personally, I won't be too shocked, even though Perez was outstanding off the ball against West Ham with his pressing. And then Chris Natsu continue at left, Richie on the right, and I think he'll go Hostler. I really will. I know Rafa may not be there, but I think Hostler will be opted for to go up top because he scored. Obviously, we know that Rich has a 3-game suspension as well. Right, so we're going to be playing on the counter as well a little bit. So expect to see Newcastle players more or less when we don't have the ball in these positions. That's what I think will happen. They'll be very high up and then trying to hit them on the counter. That's how I think Newcastle will play. If Kieran Clark does play left back, don't expect him to get forward. He'll try and get Atsu onto the ball. If it is Manquillo who does play left back, I am expecting Manquillo to get forward, mind you. Yedlin though, and now obviously we've mentioned Olsen, he'll be looking after Olsen. Richie as well, but Yedlin was so miss him bombing down that right flank, allowing Richie to come inbound as well. We'll really miss that going forward. The two midfielders, I think this man, if Swansea give him, I know Swansea have the 3 in midfield, that's why I think it's really important that we don't have the ball, that Perez sits a little bit further back, just so we can mix it up, because 2 against 3 will get out-fought, so Perez come back a little bit, but this guy, if you give him room, he'll play. But if you've got the likes of, whether it's Carroll, whether it's Sanchez, I didn't really talk too much about Renato Sanchez in Swansea's lineup, whether it's Fer, I think Fer will be looking after one of them, Leroy Fer. And, I think if he, we've seen it against West Ham, he can move the ball forward, he brings it forward as well, and then he can obviously spray a nice slide through pass for whoever it may be. So if he's given room, we've got a chance there. Hayden's not going to be spectacular. He's going to be looking after the midfielders, stopping them trying to get forward. Probably Renato Sanchez at some point he'll ever start. He'll come on, because Renato Sanchez, yes, he is a talent. He's got loads of potential. Didn't really make it in Bayern Munich, but he's blistering. And, Swansea bringing, even if Sanchez was to come on and bring on Wilfred Boney, it'll lift the Swansea fans. And we've got to be a little bit wary of that as well. This fella needs another game as well. Yes, he was great against West Ham. The pressing was absolutely outstanding. Matt Ritchie as well. But he needs to get involved. He needs more of the ball this time around. That's why I think I won't be too surprised if he goes for more Diarmi, just to try and keep possession, because Diarmi is better holding the ball up, keeping possession, than what Perez is, although Perez is probably the better going forward as well. If we can get the ball to Hostler, we've seen it against, we're awful against Huddersfield, weren't we? But when we're seeing Hostler come on, yes, he was feeding off scraps, but we looked so much better because he was holding the ball up, and then he was bringing the midfield into play as well, which is a tactic I think we will use. Will you start Dwight Gale, Paco or Jimenez or even Rafa? I don't think Dwight Gale will start. And we've got options from the bench as well. As I've touched upon, Aarons, Murphy, Gale, Shelvey, and then you've got these two got to communicate as well, because they haven't played a full game together yet, because he went off injured quite early on, and obviously his English isn't great at the moment, so Lascelles needs to be a talker and Boss's defence. But if Clark comes here, I think we'll be fine if that's Clark and Lascelles. But if Manquillo plays there's got to be communication defensively, because Manquillo's a little bit suspect of his runners going past. It's difficult to see where there's going to be a winner from both teams. I think it is going to be a draw. But let us know what you think of that. Who's going to play left back? How we're going to win this game? Swansea, we've got to stop the width as well, haven't we? See you later. Bye-bye.